everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of this year's Speechapalooza. I'm your host, Leo Wellock, and we have a great show for you today. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Hi, my name is Isla Mendoza, runner-up for SGA president. I've learned that by getting involved, it boosts a student's chances in moving forward to the next semester. And getting involved gives a student a more fulfilling college experience. I believe in this so heavily because amidst the first remote semester, I was ready to quit. But I knew I couldn't because going to college is a way to provide a better life for not only me, but my son. Going through each assignment, I felt like I was walking underwater. The motivation just wasn't the same as it was in the classroom. And I really missed that peer-to-peer interaction. I missed seeing people just as excited as I was to be there. And at this point, I knew I needed support. So I went to the Student Government Association and I asked them how was the school helping those students during this tough time. I knew I couldn't be the only one that was this discouraged. And because of my passion and all the questions I had, they asked if I would like to join the SGA. Now, I told them I would think about it, and I did. I thought, I'm busy, I have a little one, I work, and school's just overwhelming as it is. But then I thought again. I thought, well, this on a voluntary basis, I could do as little or as much as I want, and I might learn something. And learn I did. I learned about all the resources the school offers its students, and I was able to voice my concerns directly to President Glenn. And for the first time, faculty and staff knew me on a first-name basis. Getting involved not only taught me what I could do and what I could say, but it showed me that I had a lot of support from the school that I go to and gave me a better appreciation for NECC. Now, I know that getting involved and stuff is hard for a lot of people, and, a lot of students have just different obligations, so just going to meetings is too much. But I urge you to share your concerns. Share it with someone that can relay them. And if you don't know anybody, share them with me. You can find me on the Outlook, Student Outlook, ISELINE, and my email should pop up. And I just want to be able to properly represent the whole school, and I can't do that with only my experiences, so I urge you to share. And also, take the surveys the school hands out. They're made just for you. They want to know how they can do better. So by sharing your concerns, by taking the surveys, and by voting, you can say that you got involved even just that much. And together we can move forward to the next semester smoothly. Thank you.
How you doing, everybody? My name is Brian Fernandez, and just want to talk a little bit about my life, my craft, what I do, my experiences. I had Professor David Radigan. Thank you to him. He felt like if I should share a little bit about who I am and what I do, just because it might resonate with just anybody watching, or even just like the younger generation. For a lot of those that might want to get into something or might want to just hear some comforting words. But my name is Brian Fernandez, and I am a photographer based out of Lawrence, Massachusetts. I have been doing photography now for about 6 years, give or take. But I've been doing photography full time freelancing for 2.5 years now. So it's been a blessing to be able to say that I make all of my money, pretty much all my money, just with photography, which is what I love. So there hasn't been a day in the past 2.5 years that has felt like work, other than schoolwork, but actual work. But yeah, so I got into photography when I was about 17, 18, give or take. I actually got into photography, and what I mean by that is that I've always wanted to get into it, even when I was younger than that, but I just never did. I didn't because of fear. I didn't because I didn't take it seriously. I didn't because of self doubt, and I didn't think that I'd be good at it. Especially in high school, where you, or at least most people, have not that great self-esteem. And also, around that time of life is when you're really trying to figure out who you are and what your interests are and things like that. So one of the main reasons I also didn't get into it is because none of my friends were into it. All my friends, they're into sports and just other things that I really don't care too much about. And I was the one that's always reading, and I was into art, and I was into museums, and I was into photography. Um, so I never got into it. I don't know. I never did. Um, because to a certain extent, no matter what you say or no matter who you are or how cool you were in high school, but everyone wants to fit in to a certain extent. Everyone wants to fit in. You don't want to feel like the outcast. So I think that's the main reason why I never got into photography in high school, even though I really wanted to. Um, Never got into it because of fear of the fact that I wouldn't have been able to share that with anybody. Especially the fact that I loved it so much. At the time, I didn't know I was gonna love it, but I do love it, and I kind of had a feeling that I would have loved it if I really wanted to get into it uh, that much. Um, yeah, it was just fear of being able or not being able to share that with someone, especially something that I would care about so much. But with as I got older, as I graduated high school, and I'm more sure of myself and I have more confidence, I realized that I don't really need to fit in and I don't need to be able to share that with anybody. It's more like if I love it, then I'm doing this for me. So I finally got a camera and I just said, F it. I don't know if I can swear, but I was like, whatever, I'll just get a camera. And I started carrying that camera around with me everywhere. And I started taking pictures of people. And then, one thing led to the next. And, as this rule applies to anything in life. The more you do something, the better you get at it. It's that simple. So because I was doing this so often, excuse me, because I was doing this so often, I got better at it. And then eventually people started contacting me to take pictures of them. And that was crazy to me that people wanted me to they wanted to pay me to take pictures of people. But yeah, it was crazy. But with that being said, I want to show you a couple of images that I've taken over the years, either that I'm really proud of or that I'm a big fan of. So the first one being this guy right here. Where are you? Share. Okay. So this is a picture that I took in Guangzhou, China. It's about 2 hours south of Hong Kong, give or take. I went to China for 2 weeks back in 2018, actually for photography as well. It was a blessing. They paid for my flight, for my stay, for everything, for me to go out there for 2 weeks and take pictures of the individual. She runs a blog and she has her own clothing brand, so she also models her own clothing brand. So in a way, I was kind of just like her personal photographer. But this is one of the shots that I got on one of the days that I had some free time. Every day after we were done shooting and she'd go back to the hotel, I would actually pick a different direction to walk in. And every single day I pick a different direction. How to get lost in a different direction. And this is the outcome of one of those days. But one of my favorite shots, I absolutely love this picture. I actually have this blown up somewhere. The next picture that I want to show you is also from China. This guy right here. Kind of bit more like, I mean, that one's street photography as well, but this is a lot more calm. This is at night. This is one of those instances where I waited in this spot for about 20 minutes to get this picture. If you do street photography, then you know exactly what I'm talking about, where you see something and you wait for the right person to step into your frame. This is the opposite. There was somebody in the picture. I don't know if you see that there's two chairs behind the little scooter thing. There was a guy there. Actually, there was two guys there, and I just waited for them to leave. And the second they left, I took the picture and left. Um, Definitely worth the wait. It was definitely worth the wait. The next picture that I'm going to take is one of my favorite portraits. Portraiture is actually my favorite form of photography ever. Portraits and fashion editorials. That's what I do in my free time. But when it comes to paying the bills, that doesn't really pay too much. So it's bittersweet. But this is one of my favorite portraits that I've ever taken. It's just the tones, her skin tone, the lighting, the her pose, the foreground, the background, the colors, everything about this portrait is just amazing. Um, I think it's a little too dramatic for what she's wearing, especially because she looks very, very casual. She's just wearing a t-shirt with jeans. You'd think something like this, you'd see like in a magazine, and they'd be wearing something much more extravagant. But regardless, she killed it. She's a very close friend of mine. This is Hailey, and she's a model for DSM. This is a a modeling agency that I work with. Like, I work with a couple modeling agencies, so I've been working with some pretty great people the last couple years. The last, not the last shot, but this is the fourth shot that I'm going to show you. And just to give you some context, we were shooting a music video in this tunnel, which is why there's red and stuff. We had some flares going on the floor. And this actually, the reason I love this picture so much, this picture was taken around the same time that the movie Us came out by Jordan Peele. It just reminds me of when the family was, if you've seen it, it reminds me of when the family was standing in the driveway, like motionless, kind of just like standing there, like when you first see them. Kind of reminds me of that. But we were shooting a music video, and I stepped out of the tunnel to see what the light looks like because I was like, this must look cool from the outside. And this guy walked by. He wanted to know what was going on. But I don't think I've ever posted this picture anywhere. So, and the last thing I'm going to show you is actually a clip. I don't think I'll show you the clip. I'll just show you kind of like the screenshot of it. But this is a photo shoot that I did early last year, like right before COVID hit. I shot for Adidas for this, like the Superstar 2020 campaign. So they're doing this campaign all over the country. I believe all over the world, actually. A couple of spots were like in Germany and Russia and stuff. But they were just featuring very talented individuals from major cities around the globe. And Boston was one of them. And this is WTF, We the Females. It's an all-female dance crew based out of Boston. That's my picture right there. Adidas was supposed to post it, and even it's supposed to go up on billboards in Boston, and that would have been great because I'm at the point in my career where I don't really like, not that I don't want the money. Obviously, the money pays my bills, and that's amazing, and the paycheck for this was great, but I'm at the point in my career where I need exposure and I need connections and I need relationships. I need to get my foot through the door, and I need to show the right people that I'm capable of doing amazing things. And right now it's been tough, but got to just keep working. You can't give up. But just wanted to show you guys some of my work. There's many more, but if you want to see more, you can find me on Instagram and on my website and whatnot. But I guess the last couple things that I'll say is just do that thing, whatever that thing may be for you. Do that thing that you've always wanted to do, or keep doing that thing that makes you happy. The older that I get, and I'm not even that old, I'm only 24 years old. But the older that I get, the more I realize that we got to do what makes us happy. Life is way too short. And if you have already found your passion, or do you think you found it, then just keep doing it, keep chasing it. I know a lot of people that are much older, and I mean like 50, 60, 70 years old, that either never found their passion, and I think that's depressing. It's really sad. I mean, that's sometimes out of your control, but they never found that thing that they love doing, or they found that thing too late. They found that thing when they were in their 50s and 60s, and they can't do that for much longer, So I think I have been very blessed to be able to find that thing that makes me happy at such a young age. So if this is something that you also resonate with, and this is something that you've been thinking about as well, just go do it. Again, just do what makes you happy. Life is way too short. And also, with that being said, if you are an artist or want to get into artistry or whatever that may be, and you're scared that it's not going to make you money, just know that if you love what you do, the money will come. It's honestly that simple. The money will come eventually. Just keep doing it for the right reasons. But that's really all I have to say. And again, thank you very much. I hope to see more artists in the world, because I really don't want this to become a thing that dies off. I think self-expression is important. But with that being said, I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Isabella. And a few years ago, or more than a few years ago now, when I turned 15, I got my first job at Canopy Lake Park in Salem, New Hampshire. I personally enjoyed working with the smell of popcorn and cotton candy all day, and I was also pretty good at customer service, so it seemed like a win-win. After training and orientation, I thought I would probably be prepared for anything. Any question a guest would ask me, I would know it. Any situation, I'd be able to handle it. I was shy, but mostly confident. Until this one day, when a deaf family came up to the food stand I was working at. And I talked to them, and they weren't talking back to me. And I thought it was strange. And I was like, they're signing to each other. They must be deaf. I don't know how I'm going to handle this situation. I started to panic. And then they started to write down to me, and Then they started speaking to me, and then they started signing. And obviously I didn't know sign language, so I didn't understand their signing. I didn't understand what they were speaking, and I couldn't even understand what they had written on a piece of paper. It was pretty sloppy. Luckily, I knew a friend down the way at a different food stand who did know a little bit of sign language, and she was more than happy to help out. They got their food, sat down, ate, and went on to enjoy the rest of the park. The entire day, though, I kind of felt pretty crappy about the entire situation. And I couldn't figure out why I felt so bad about it. And then I took a step back, put myself in their shoes, and realized, how terrible would it feel if you went anywhere in the hearing world and had nobody understand what you were saying? You probably wouldn't feel so great. Probably be scared to go into public, right? So not only did I feel pretty guilty about the situation, it also got me thinking, maybe I should start to learn sign language. It was fascinating to me. So I did just that. 2 years later. Better late than never. But it was the only time I really had available. It's my junior year of high school. I entered in ASL 1, going in thinking I'm going to learn all my ABCs and my numbers, maybe a hello, goodbye, what's up? And I did. But not only did I just learn the basics, I learned an overwhelming joy that the language brought me. I absolutely fell in love with it. It's unexplainable until you start learning it. And to be honest, I think it's still a piece of my heart. And in case the story above didn't really put into perspective what it's like to be deaf, I'll give you another one. So picture you're on a sidewalk, outdoor shopping, perhaps with your best friend next to you. You're walking down, when suddenly your car keys fall out of your back pocket. You simply stop, pick them up, and you're on your way. But you heard them fall. That's why you picked them up, right? You heard them. But what would have happened if you were deaf? You didn't feel it come out of your pocket, you couldn't hear it, and there was no kind soul around you to pick up your keys for you and hand them. What would you have done if you were deaf? You see, with all my experiences in learning sign language, I really became appreciative of my hearing, and not only mine, but those around me. And I couldn't believe how much of my hearing I took for granted, how much my family took their hearing for granted, how much my friends and just my peers around me took their hearing for granted. One of the most important messages that I want you to take away from today is that I want you to learn to open your ears to the deaf community. Now, what exactly does this mean? I'm not telling you to go out and take an ASL course and learn ASL in 3 to 4 years. You could, but that's not what I'm telling you to do. But I'm simply telling you, at least learn the basics. How many languages out there, raise your hand, if you know how to say hello in Spanish or Hawaiian or Italian? Because I know I do. But a lot of us don't really know how to say hello, goodbye, or even learn the alphabet in ASL. And why is that? So one of the things I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you one of the most important aspects, in my opinion, when communicating in ASL, and that's facial expression. In all honesty, expression really intertwines your body and emotion. Without emotion or facial expression, your sentences would just be flat in ASL and in English in the hearing community. For example, I'm going to give you 2 signs. First one is this. This is the sign for toilet or bathroom. While this, I asked a question with that sign. Although it's just one motion, it actually means, may I go to the bathroom? Or can I use the restroom? So if you guys did notice what I did there, again, toilet, may I go to the bathroom? My eyebrows went up, which indicated a yes or no question, while others, such as how are you, or when, where, and why, my eyebrows are down, which indicates, again, why, what, when, how, all the W questions. These facial expressions and signs, hand shapes, classifiers are all important aspects when learning sign language. But what I also want you guys to take away is that ASL isn't just a language, it's an art. And we all need to stop looking at the deaf community as unequal compared to the hearing community. Not only is that statement completely false, but it's just wrong to think that way. Being deaf does not mean you need to be fixed either. And I only use that word fixed is because people and even doctors still today use that word. How would you feel, again, putting yourself in their shoes? How would you feel if you went to a doctor's office, not thinking there was anything wrong with you, and saying, I can fix that. I can fix that for you. Then there's nothing to be fixed. You probably wouldn't feel so great, would you? But being deaf also does not mean you're going to be unsuccessful in life. Just for another example, you can take Ludwig van Beethoven. For those of you who don't know, he was a German pianist who was born in 1770 and started losing his hearing at the age of 26 and ended up going completely deaf at the age of 52. Now, I don't know about you, but I probably wouldn't be able to write any music. But when he did turn 52 and went completely deaf, this is the time when he wrote his best works. And I encourage you to listen to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony and let it kind of speak for itself. And while you're listening, just keep in mind that he did write and compose this when he was 52. This was after he was completely deaf. When I decided to drop out of nursing school to pursue American Sign Language interpretation, I was scared, obviously. I was giving up one part of my life and throwing it into another. I entered into ASL 1, freshman year of college, basically starting over. Scared little girl just sitting here like this, very closed off, very shy. And I was terrified to ask questions and even more terrified to make mistakes. And so one day, I had no idea what was going on in class. So I raised my hand, signed what I thought I knew, and my question was answered. It wasn't later until my professor came up to me after class when we were alone, and he said, I'm proud of you. And I said, why? What did I do? He said, you asked a question. And I don't think I'll ever forget this moment. And it's because I realized at this moment that I wanted to become an ASL interpreter. This is what I wanted to do. And I was maybe 99% sure of it at this time. But he also said to me, you know how you're feeling scared and, insecure, worried you're going to make a mistake? I said, yeah. Because that's how deaf people feel every single day walking out of their house into the hearing world. And that honestly made me extremely sad. Every week when I go into class, I am still scared, terrified, and confused. But instead of letting that feeling drag me down, just like the rest of us, we should use those feelings to build us up and not to hide or stray away from them, but to embrace them and try and understand those feelings a little bit better. It's also important to understand that it's okay to step out of your comfort zone sometimes. It took me a long time to realize that. I'm still learning from it. I want to share with you guys one of my favorite signs. It's easy, but it's also very remarkable. And if I can take any sign away from ASL that's the most important to me, it's this one. This is the sign for hearing, but it is also the sign for public. So the signs are much deeper than the definitions of the word. You see, the deaf don't view themselves as part of the hearing public. And I personally want them to feel welcomed in the community, and I want them to feel comfortable in the world that we live in. It's their world too. So with all of this information that I've given you and perspective, I hope that we can all make the deaf feel like they're part of the public. Thank you.
And that concludes day 2 of Speechapalooza 2021. Thank you for everyone who submitted their speeches and to everyone who joined us. Before we sign off today, we would like to give a shout out to the COVID Relief Fund. There's a link in the description below if anyone's interested. As always, thank you and see you tomorrow.